It's me, Joseph.
Me, Brandy.
And today what we're going to talk to you about is perming. It'll be funny later. So we're going to break this up into two parts so it's not an extra long video. So the first part, we're going to demo how to properly shampoo, how to drape, what kind of sectioning to take, how to roll properly, how to do your end papers, things like that, how to close your rods, how to use picks, the whole 9 yards in that first part. The second part, we'll talk to you when we get there. Be patient. So, in this video, the important things to remember is we need to learn how to properly clarify the hair. So in the video, you will see how we usually properly clarify. If you do not clarify the hair, you need to understand that the perm will not turn out. There's a whole bunch of buildup. Even the people like me who use no products, no nothing in their hair, literally all I do is shampoo and condition my hair. I don't put gel in it. I don't put mousse in it. I don't do anything. I just literally wash and go because of everyday things like people smoking around me, sometimes me smoking at night, the environment, she trying to get Rona on my hair, things like that. Your hair will always have some kind of residue on them, even depending on where you live. Depending on if you live in Corpus versus here versus New York, the air is different. There's toxins, pollutants, things like that. So you need to start off with a clean slate. Do not condition. If you condition the hair, what you're doing is you're weakening that hair again. You're putting product in it. You're sealing that cuticle. So you need to understand when we perm, the name of the game is to open that cuticle. So that's why we clarify it. It roughs up that hair shaft and starts slowly opening up those cuticle shingles. Then the waving solution really busts open that cuticle to put all that chemicals in it to make it change. So if you put conditioner over it, some conditioners coat. So if you put a coating over it, it will not allow, it'll be harder to open it. You might perm some of the hair, some of it might not be permed. It's going to be inconsistent. So the main thing to remember is do not condition the hair. Anything you want to add on those two parts?
No, I just remember when I was in school, you told me that the conditioner is basically like a barrier. So it just keeps the perming solution from actually doing its job. So make sure you do not condition. When you are shampooing the hair, you need to let it sit for 10 whole minutes.
Sometimes I even double cleanse just to make sure it's said and done. I'm a rusher, so I know like when I cleanse, I'm not very patient, so I'll rinse it out 3 minutes earlier than what it needs to. So what I do is I walk away. I go find a chore to do, like I'll go sweep up my station before, I'll go get all my perm rods ready, perm papers, everything like that. Like I don't get prepped for my client before if I know it's a perm, because I know she's gonna have to sit for 10 minutes. So that's how I kill 10 minutes. Or I'll go in the back and take a drink of water, or go fold some towels. Like I make myself busy so I don't break that 10 minutes, because the longer you can keep it on there, the better the perm is. If you can feel the hair and it feels squeaky clean, that's when you know you did a good job. If you feel it and it's still soft, it could probably be cleansed again. Other things to remember is when you roll the hair, again, we're going to demo everything in this video so you can see it for yourself, but you want to keep the hair flat. You don't want to pinch the hair. If you pinch the hair, what's happening is it's like that roll of toilet paper we talked about before. You're putting too much on that rod. So when you go put that perm solution on, it's not going to saturate all the way through because you pushed and jumbled all that hair together. So if you can keep it nice and flat under the end papers, flat under the rods, it will be nice and tight and flat, and you're using the proper amount of tension to roll. It will be so condensed that when you put that perm solution on there, it will go through all the rods. So make sure that you comb everything out, no pinching the ends. Remember, at State Board, they will be checking your rods to make sure nothing's pinched or anything like that. Then we're going to go through and tell you the picks, how to use a pick. The pick will prevent the lines from the bands. Sometimes if you roll it too tight or you put the bands too low, you will see that you made an imprint on the client's hair because of the bands. So what the picks do is lift up those bands by keeping your perm rods tight and together so you don't get any lines or breakage or anything like that. Anything else you want to add?
No, just make sure you are over directing when you're rolling. That is a big thing because they're coming in, they're wanting that body and the volume. Perms can relax a little bit, so the more body you put into it, the less it's going to relax later on, if that makes any sense.
So if your client, that's a good point. If your client ever brings up the point like my perm didn't last or you did it wrong, it's honestly like sometimes it's like it's 50-50. Sometimes it is their hair, but for sometimes it is y'all. You're putting too much hair on a roller, or you're not sectioning it, or you're not over directing it enough. So you're not putting the proper amount of body and wave in there that you need to be. So just be conscious of your subsections. Make sure you're measuring each and every single one. I know it's meticulous to do every single one like that, but at the end of the day, I would rather take my time the first time and do it right than have to do it all and then do it all over again for a redo for free. So just take your time. Speed will come with time. Other than that, I think we're ready to show you how to do a perm.
Hey guys, so we are going to start a full perm process. So from start to finish, we're actually going to perm our client and show you every step through the perm like we talked about. So first off, I've already sanitized my sink. It's one of your prereqs for this. I checked the box, the perm box, because remember you should do that just to make sure, because sometimes perms come with certain cleansing agents that they want you to use first before actually starting the perm, or like a serum or spray, something like that in the perm box. But I've already checked my perm box to make sure that I don't need anything like that. So what I'm going to show you first is how to properly cleanse before a perm. So if you have clarifying shampoo like we have right here, this is best to use. If you don't, however, I'm going to show you exactly what to do. So I would find what you feel like is your best cleansing shampoo and get some of that. So I'm going to use the Chi Luxury Black Seed. So I probably have about dime size amount. Then I'm going to get baking soda. So I'm going to put a little bit of baking soda mixed with the shampoo. And that's what it's going to look like, okay? I'm going to emulsify it really good. See? And I'm just going to pat all the way around the head and then pat down, okay? And I'm not scrubbing since she's a mannequin because I don't want her to get tangled and matted. So whenever you're cleansing and you're clarifying the hair, sometimes you might have to do it twice, especially with these older ladies that come in and get roller sets, and when they come in and get their perms, the hair really needs to be clean. So no wax buildup, no product buildup, nothing. And that's what this does. This completely cleanses the scalp and the hair so that the perm can adhere to the hair, okay? So I get up all underneath. Again, I'm not scrubbing. I'm just kind of petting and using my fingers to comb it, okay? Now, if this was an actual client, a real person, I would be scrubbing the head. I wouldn't be scratching, but I would be gently scrubbing because you don't want to overstimulate the scalp too much because it can irritate it when you go to put the perm solution on, okay? So you notice the more I work it, the more it suds up. So at first it seemed like it wasn't going to be enough shampoo, but again, the more you work it, if you have plenty of water, it will suds up for you. She's not that dirty, so I'm not going to have to do it a second time. So what we actually need to do now is the clarifying shampoo needs to sit for 10 minutes, okay? Some people say you can go 5, but just to be safe, I have a timer set for 10 minutes always, okay? So it's also important to remember that we do not condition the client before a perm. The perm is going to weigh it down, and it's kind of like a barrier. It will not let the perm take onto the hair. So it's very important that you remember not to condition the client, okay? So we're gonna let that sit for 10 minutes and then we'll be back. Hey guys, so we're back after clarifying her with a clarifying shampoo or shampoo and baking soda. And we left it on for 10 minutes. So there's no buildup left. We're starting with a clean slate. And now we have her chemically draped, which is a towel, cape towel. And we have her already 9-sectioned. So what we're gonna do, starting with the perm, we're going to use our orange rods. And just like with the roller set, you need to make sure the hair wraps around 2.5 times, because if you have too much hair, they're going to be spaced out too far apart and they're actually not going to be getting that body and volume that they want. If you don't have enough hair on it, they're going to start bunching up and stacking up against each other, kind of like this. All right. So 2.5 times around the rod. All right. Otherwise, the solution can't soak through and it won't perm the actual rest of the strand, okay? So, just like with the roller set, we're going to pre-measure. And I know you're noticing I probably, that I'm starting on the side. You can start anywhere. So you can start in these back sections. You can start right here. It's wherever you're most comfortable. I feel that you're gonna be able to see this a little bit better starting on the side, okay? So she actually has a few layers. So I get to show you how to use multiple end papers on one section, okay? So an end paper is this right here. And it is for the ends for the perm, okay? It protects the ends from the solution because our ends are very, very fragile. So all of our ends need to be inside of here. And another thing we need to remember for a perm is we need to have it completely saturated at all times. Hair dries up fairly fast, so we need to keep it wet. So just like with the roller set, we want to make sure we are over directing towards the mirror or the wall that's in front of us, especially to give her that body and volume that she's looking for, okay? So completely have it combed out and nice and smooth. And now I can put my end paper. So you can get your end paper. These are already pre-folded, which is awesome. Set it in there and fold. You don't want to pinch because it doesn't actually help, okay? If it doesn't fit in there nicely, it means you haven't measured correctly. We're gonna go all the way to the end. So our ends should be completely in the end paper, just like that, okay? So then we get our perm rod and we're gonna wrap the paper around just like this, okay? And then start rolling towards us. Now, she has layers. So if you get to a layer where it's sticking out just like this, you put another end paper on top of that, spray, and then continue rolling with your tension towards you. Okay. We need to make sure the band is on top. So a lot of us complain that it's not tight enough, it's too loose. So what I like to do, there's a part right here, I wrap it around and it gives it that tension that I'm looking for, but it leaves it so it can stay right on top, just like this. All right. All right, let's go to the next one. Comb again. She's already started to dry out, so I'm gonna spray and measure. Place it right at the hairline All right, so let's talk about the actual different types of combs that you can use. Some of y'all use hair cutting combs, wide tooth combs. It's not wrong. However, if you're not doing it right, it's gonna end up combing the rest of the section that you don't want combed. I like to use a rat tail because it has a beveled end and it's nice and soft. So with that when I section. If you are using a foiling comb, it's not necessarily great to do that because you're scraping the scalp. And then when you put that solution on there, it's going to burn. So best bet is to always just use a rat tail comb. Also, when I'm doing a perm, I usually have my comb in my fingers just like this. I never try to put it down. So I tend to use my little cheap rat tail combs, my little, you know, box that I get for like $5, because I end up squeezing it so much that the bristles get messed up. But I would rather use my cheap rat tail comb doing this than mess up my nice $10 foiling comb. All right, so we have our next section. Comb it nice and tight. We have our end paper. Spray. Pull it all the way out to the end. We get our perm rod. We're gonna wrap it around just like this. I will use my rat tail as well to smooth it out. And tight tension, rolling it. Just like that, okay? All right, let's take a next one. Comb. I'm gonna spray, get it wetter. Completely smooth it out. Get my end paper again. Spray. Push all the way to the ends. Get your perm rod, wrap it around. All right, just like so. So there's different ways to wrap the end papers. This one is done as a bookend. You can also use two. So before I found these and they were already pre-folded, I didn't like to fold them because it would mess up. So what I would do is, just in case, because especially at state board, you can't have any end sticking out. You can use two end papers and fold it and wrap it around. All right. That way it's long enough and it's wide enough so that none of the ends will go anywhere. All right. If you have to use more end papers, like say if there's layers or there's just really short pieces, you can use, there's no limit to how many end papers you can use on the strand. As long as you're able to completely saturate that rod with the perm solution at the same time. All right. So just be mindful, if you use more end papers, you need to completely saturate everything. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and continue all of this and we will be back and show you what it is supposed to look like when it's completely rolled. Hey guys, so we're completely all done with wrapping the perm and this is what it should look like when it's all said and done. Unfortunately, I did not have any small orange ones, so I went and found the next size below. It was the closest one in size. We want you to try and use the same exact color, because I will show you this curl will be just a tad tighter than these, but I tried to compensate for what I had, and it was just a little minor hiccup. But now I'm going to show you what you can do when you use a pick. A lot of y'all don't know how to use the picks. It's really good, especially right here in the front. It helps to create, keep those bands from making lines. So you'll just stick it through, get the next one, and even the third one, okay? And you can even use 2 picks, okay? So that way it won't have that harsh band line right there, especially right in the front. So you can do it right here. I tend to do it right where around the hairline where they're going to be able to see it. All right. All right, just like that on that side. Let's work on this side. Just like that, all right? So this ends the first part of the perming video, and then we're gonna come back and I'll show you exactly how to put cotton around and apply the solution.
Alrighty, so now you saw how to do a perm. I don't know why I keep doing this. So now we saw how to do a perm, how to roll it, how to properly hold the rollers, how to over direct, everything like that. Like we said before in the video before, we want to keep the key things that we want to help y'all remember is to keep the hair flat, make sure you're keeping good tension, making sure you use your picks to make sure there's no band lines, make sure to properly cleanse.
You need to make sure it's always wet and saturated.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, it sounds dirty, but wetter the better. True. That's when you know you're doing a good job. If you have any trouble rolling hair, like the hair's not sticking, the papers aren't sticking, wet it down. Water is your best friend. Also, drink more water and you'll get beautiful skin like me.
And remember, you can use as many perm papers as you need to in that roller. Just make sure you're saturating it really well. If you remember seeing, I had some little hairs sticking out because she did have a weird looking cut. So I had to use several perm papers in one roller, but I made sure to, we're gonna completely saturate it. So that way the curl will come out really good.
Because in the real world, the hair is not like your mannequins where everything's all one length and it's perfect. In the real world, you're going to have people like Brandy, for example. She has a short bob in the back and then it's long in the front. So if you think that's going to be an easy roll, it's not. My hair, if I wanted a perm, it's all different lengths on top, things like that. So you're going to have to get used to it. So to think that it's going to go out there and everything's going to be perfect, you're wrong. The only thing that's perfect out there is my complexion. All right, so now that we learned everything here, we're going to take you now to part 2.